Well, hello, good people. This is your favorite nerd on the planet, at least according to my brain. It's 2 in the morning, and I should be in bed right now, but I promised you that I would be more consistent with getting more content out, and I'm going to do that. So, 2 weeks in a row. Can you believe it or not? That is, for me, that's pretty remarkable. And if you're watching this, I appreciate that too. If you aren't following, if you could do the usual suspects, let's just get that nauseating shit out of the way. I would really appreciate it, and we'll kind of go from there. But if you're new to the channel, basically, I'm a very, very amateur reviewer, person, thingamabob. There's words that I don't know. I'm too old to know, but I thought I would start this new kind of weekly update thing, kind of things that I'm watching, maybe reviewing TV, movies, etc. But also, we're going to talk about politics. Obviously, if you know me, definitely on the side that everybody hates, but hey, it is what it is because there are some pretty heartbreaking stories, and I'm not just talking about New York right now. Uh, that's, yeah, we can go down that rabbit hole another time. But we also want to talk about some of the cool stuff that I'm actually going to be doing here on the channel. I've just watched a lot of movies and a lot of television just this last week. So stay tuned as I pray to God I edit as fast as I possibly can. But we're doing another one of those four-part series where I'm going to review four movies in 4 minutes. Each movie gets 4 minutes for the review. I'm going to hopefully try to get it out this week, but obviously we'll talk about here just momentarily. Predator Badlands just came out this weekend. Just a sneak peek. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. It is absolute dog shit. Kind of surprised. I'm not going to lie to you. The trailer did look pretty epic, but we'll get into that. Also going to talk to you about, I'm going to be breeding some of my collection, if that makes sense at all. It will here in just a moment. And then obviously we're going to get into the politics, which is there's a very heartbreaking story coming out of the UK right now, which I'm sure you've seen, or if you haven't seen, I'm going to show you here because let's be honest, we've now officially, the world has gone so far downhill that now even the soldiers, even those that are literally over 100 years old, can now see the reality of basically they don't want to fight for this, what's going on in the world, specifically in the UK. If you haven't seen it, it was that older gentleman, the 102-year-old gentleman who fought in World War II. And he basically says it wasn't worth it. It was not worth it for what they had to do to make sure that you and I have the freedom that we have today. And sadly, the way the UK is right now, it does. It breaks your heart. It really, really does. If you're not familiar again with the channel, I'm a UK citizen, even though I speak Americanese. But yeah, my country is unrecognizable now. I am currently working on my American citizenship, going to see if I can get the dual aspect, but you can't even recognize my country now. It really, really is sad and tragic. And without going down too many paths, because I like having a paycheck, it's politics. That's really what it comes down to. And ultimately, it also comes down to illegal immigration. Let's not sugarcoat this. I refuse to be quiet. And although I will be cautious, I'm also tired and not going to be silent anymore. I'm going to speak the truth because that's exactly what it is. When you pour millions upon millions of illegal immigrants into your country just to get the votes, this is what you get. And quite frankly, let's hit the ground running with New York this week. This is only the beginning. This is truly the beginning for America, and it is scary as hell. It's not surprising at all, but I'll tell you what, the next few years are going to be very interesting. So count your blessings, pray to your gods, be peaceful, as you know, just do what you got to do. But ultimately, the way with New York right now, damn, you all are, you know, I love how this talk right now about there was a blue wave, there was domination from the Democrats, blah, 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 blue. And it's like, no, there wasn't, because you literally had a choice between Santa Claus and the guy that basically murdered your grandparents during COVID. Let's be very honest about that. My guy, the Republican, conservative, whatever you want to call it, had a beret. So yeah, if you want to blame somebody, sure, I'll blame things that I won't mention right now because of a paycheck, but I will blame the fact that my side didn't have anything. We had nobody, and it's our own fault. So it's just tragic. You see New York the way it's going. Everybody that I know that has ever moved there or has come from there has said that it's basically a dumpster fire. It's an absolute pit. Just trying to step over human feces is become a daily task, and it's very, very heartbreaking. I've never been to New York. I've kind of wanted to go just because of the Comic Con. I've always wanted to go to New York Comic Con, but even now to this day, if you were to give me a free pass, I might not take you up on that at all. So, New York with Mondani, I will pray for y'all, but let's be honest, you did this to yourselves. And I think the biggest thing that people need to realize, especially those on the right, whether you're conservative, Republican, blah, 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 you're not going to see the destruction quickly. This is going to take time. Now, it only took this guy 24 hours to basically start begging you for money. But ultimately, in order for him to start really kind of putting forward a lot of his free buses, free healthcare, blah, 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 it's not going to happen instantaneously. It's going to take time. So hopefully, it will be quicker rather than later. But I do believe it's going to take time before you start to see the real detriment that will take place because of these policies. And the midterms are next year. You're not going to see anything between now and then. You just really aren't going to see any sort of damage. But we don't know. Let's be honest. It's only a matter of time before something horrible happens again. It really, really is. Let's be very clear. Whether it's the Perry guy who stopped the guy on the subway, whether it's another Floyd incident, whether it's insert XYZ, it's only a matter of time before some sort of horribleness happens in this world. And sadly, that's the only time people give a shit is when horrible shit happens. So I pray it doesn't, but let's be very honest, it's only a matter of time. So switching gears here just a little bit. Predator Badlands. Let's get into the nerdy stuff just a little bit here. Now, I'm going to be bringing out a full review here, hopefully by Monday, maybe Tuesday. So make sure you follow the channel so you kind of can watch that later. But I don't, I get it, but I don't get it. If you're a fan of the Predator series, I think this is like number 11. I think something along the lines. Hulu, I think it was a couple months ago, they just put out that 4-part series. It was like an animation series. That was incredible. Now, I would highly encourage, if you have not seen it, definitely go and check that out. I really, really think it was absolutely incredible. So that was something worth watching. But this Predator Badlands shit, I, without giving you guys too many spoilers, to me, Predator is a hunter. He's a killer. He's basically the alien version of Terminator. He's this badass who only works alone. Obviously, there are multiple predators out there. This entire movie, the way I best describe it, is basically a Turner and Hooch meets Sesame Street, but with the Predator title. Literally, that is what this movie is. Obviously, it is full of woke ideology, political agenda bullshit that, quite frankly, is you think they would have learned by now. And albeit, if you look online, there's a lot of praise for this new movie. And, I will give them the credit from there's a lot of great action, there's a lot of great cinematography. The CGI is pretty decent. I won't lie to you. The story is absolute trash. This movie does not take a second to breathe. It is constant action, zero character development. And what it comes down to at the very bottom of it, the whole basis is you have the one predator that you've seen in the trailer. His name is Deck. He wants to go fight this big, huge monster thing so that he can prove himself to become a predator. Now, the way he does that, he needs a half robot to save him on a constant basis. And he also meets up with a Baby Yoda Part 2, as I call it. Like I said, this is a homeward bound of Predator, and it's just embarrassing to the actual character itself, if you ask me. Like, Predator is about just badass technology in order to kill his opponents. That's literally Predator in a nutshell. This movie is homeward bound, where a trio of nobodies gets together to try and stop the evil witch of the West. That is literally Predator Badlands in a nutshell. And I would encourage you, do not waste your time, do not waste your money. Wait for the streaming, borrow your friend's account, and then maybe watch it. Maybe, because other than that, go watch the Hulu version. And even I, yours truly, Spot of Nerd, will say, if you haven't seen it, the one that they released the movie on Hulu was Prey. I actually thought that was a pretty decent film. I really, really did. And I know, again, me being me, the fact that they focused obviously on a female subject, a female lead, which there is nothing wrong with a female lead. A lot of people gave it shit for that. I thought it was pretty good. I really did think it was very well done. Prey was a pretty damn good film. And if you haven't seen it, I would go check it out. Predator Badlands, stay as far away from that shit as you possibly can, but also stick around for this week when I bring out my full reviews so that I can give you a little bit more detail as to what exactly took place in the movie and why I think it was really just a waste of time and everything else in between. So, speaking more on the nerdy side of things, I mentioned just in the beginning of this that I'm going to soon hopefully give you guys a video where I'm going to be breeding some of my collection. And you might be wondering to yourself, what the actual fuck are you talking about? So, behind me, obviously my new layout, I've got some really cool shit. And I've discussed this on the channel before, but there is a company, if you're not familiar with it, called 30. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. Okay. Gotta be careful. So, 30 is a company based out of Japan, I believe it is, that just makes some of the most absolute beautiful action figures slash statues that you've ever seen in your life. And for example, we have Optimus Prime. I'm going to see how good I can get this in the camera. But as you can tell, it's huge. It's about 12 inches. That's what she said. I don't know how well the camera's pulling this detail here, but again, you can just see this was Optimus Prime from, what was the movie? Shit, spacing on the movie. Oh my god, it was one with Wahlberg. God, what are those movies? It was the fourth movie. Help me out here. It was basically the fourth movie. Last night there was the last night, and then there was the fourth one with the Dinobots, which was fucking amazing. Let's be very real, those Transformers movies are absolute ass, but I loved them. I really, really did. Hence why I'm buying these action figures. So 30 makes just the most amazing action figures possible, and I've really been starting to build my collection. Now, I'm going to show you guys, or I think I showed you before on a previous video, but let me show you again. It was the 30 Jetfire Prime. There it is. It took me a little bit, but I finally was able to get essentially the two action figures that I needed to make this happen. So let me show you guys really quickly here. See if I can pull this up. So you'll see, hold on one second. You'll see in the screen this way is, if those of you remember the second movie, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, you had Jetfire, which was the Decepticon turned Autobot, older Decepticon turned Autobot. Interesting character, but yada, yada, yada. At the end of the movie, he sacrifices himself so that he can join up with Optimus Prime. Now, again, yours truly was able to get his hands on that version of Optimus Prime. And in a previous video, you might remember, or if you don't remember, I was also able to get my hands on, it doesn't even fit in the camera, the Jetfire. So, I've seen a couple videos, and yours truly is going to try and make that in the video. It's I've seen videos, apparently it takes people hours, like genuinely hours to try and put this stuff together, but at the end of the day, it is going to be absolutely spectacular, and I could not be more excited. It stands about 2 feet tall, 2.5 feet tall. This thing is going to be incredible, and I'm gonna try my best to see if I can video the whole thing. I don't know how really it's gonna come out, but, yeah, we'll do like a fast motion or stop motion thing, whatever they call it, but I'm excited. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. So let's go back. Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty badass, and I hope you'll check it out because Lord knows when I'm gonna do this. But yeah, it'll be cool. And if you are, jokes aside, they don't just make Transformers toys; they make everything. So that's actually a good idea. Let me show you this real quick. 30.com. I think it's maybe China because it's Hong Kong, maybe. Come on, 30. It's one of the nice things I've said this. I'll say this forever when we do these live things. It's just nice sometimes to not have to worry about the edits where you can just kind of talk about random shit, even if there's a slight pause. Really? I swear I had the. Yeah, here it is. HK is Hong Kong, right? Is that Hong Kong? I'm assuming it's Hong Kong. But let me just quickly show you guys this. Share the screen. Because I want to show you. Now, obviously, I don't have sponsors. Maybe one day I would love to have a sponsor. If you ever want me to sponsor your shit, let me know. As long as it's decent, respectful, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, here's their product line. You know, they make anything from anime to Marvel, Mega Man stuff. It's just incredible, incredible details. And price wise, they're not terrible. You know, like I was actually thinking about picking up this Starscream, and it's only $219. You know, if you go to, there's another company. Let me show you this. I think it's Prime One Studio. Let me see. Prime One Studio. Now, Prime One Studio, if you want top of the line, just absolute epicness, these are the folks to go with. So, give you an example here. Again, talking about that same Optimus kind of joining up with Jetfire. You know, these action figures are stunning, genuinely stunning, and they probably would be the size of your bed. I am not shitting you. They would take up what, 10 square foot of just badassness. But here's the challenge, and I'll show you. Look at that price tag. Have you found it yet? Look at that price tag. It is, if you look down at the bottom right corner, it's $4,500. So, which version would you buy? Would you go 3.0 for $200, or would you go Prime One Studio for 5 grand? 5 grand could buy you a car. Maybe not the best car, but it would buy you a car. Now, if I had the money and if I was rich beyond belief, obviously there'd be no doubt I'd buy this in a heartbeat. But I'm not dissing, as they would say, Prime One Studio. I'm just simply saying that that's just astronomical in relation to price. So I would say it's worth it. I think it's worth every dollar you spend, but I can't justify 5 grand on an Optimus Prime figure. I just really can't. So yeah, that's that. But let's bring it back to me, your beautiful, beautiful face. And so before we kind of close it out, and we're gonna close this out with the heartbreaking story about that World War II vet. I've kind of been doing this too about what's on your Instagram feed type thing. So let me see. Let me make sure we can share this up here with you guys just for a second. I don't, I want to be very clear. Anytime I share the Instagram feed with you guys, you might see stuff that's insulting to you or whatever it is. And quite frankly, if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. Hashtag Ricky Gervaisis, if I'm saying his name right, because you know what? We're probably going to be sharing different things with each other. You know what I mean? You probably follow things that I would never follow just as much as the opposite. So let's go ahead. again, I was showing this is what I was trying to find the video, and I was able to find the video, which I'll play for you guys here in just a moment. I found it on YouTube, but obviously Fox News, um, I was looking at again this World War II vet who just basically doesn't recognize his country anymore, and it's tragic and it's heartbreaking and all everything in between. So we'll get into that here in just a moment, but let's look at real quickly kind of what's on my feed right now. And if we let's refresh this too. Sometimes you're like, oh God, please don't have anything horrible. And then, like right out of the gate, what do we have here? Shots fired at Border Patrol in Chicago after officials lie about daycare abduction. Wow, it's almost like it's predictable once again. So, interestingly enough, I was looking at some of this earlier. So, to be very clear as well, a lot of people like clickbait. It's you'll see a headline and that's what you believe and you think that's it and nothing else matters. Every time I see something like this, I always look into it further. I look at both sides of the aisle, both sides of the news sources to make sure like is this legit? Who's telling the story? Who's telling the right story? Who's telling the wrong story? Everything in between and this is actually a reality. So, literally, I mean, let's be honest, it's Chicago. I'm not too surprised. And, it says, what does it say here? Shots rang in broad daylight Friday as a black Jeep driver opened fire on Border Patrol agents near 26th and Kenzie in Chicago. Agitators hurled bricks and paint cans at federal vehicles while the shooter fled the scene. The attack comes just days after Chicago and Illinois officials falsely claimed agents stormed a daycare. So it's almost like somebody lied to get you to believe that ICE agents were storming daycares, which wasn't true at all, just so that this basically now is the outcome, which is, of course, violence. Now, let's see. As violence against law enforcement surges, Democrat leaders continue to basically, yeah, gaslight the public and shield lawlessness. The shooter remains at large. Wow, there's a shock, said absolutely nobody, because, gosh, today's Chicago, I'm sure you could not find the person that did this at all. Even if you did, they would probably be back on the streets within 24 hours. Let's be very honest. Tell me I'm lying. I'm not. Let's be very clear about that. Now, if this is something you support, shooting ICE agents for doing their jobs, you are a satanic, evil individual that, quite frankly, I would pray to God you look in the mirror and somehow change your life for the better because that's just absolutely disturbing. Because another one, too, I love this. The face you make when you, that well, basically the picture speaks for itself. But the Sydney, is it Sydney? Yeah, it's Sydney Sweeney, right? Why am I spacing on her name? It is that, right? Sydney Sweeney. It's really early in the morning. Like, cut a long story short, I loved if you haven't watched this interview, you should go and watch this interview. It's absolutely hysterical watching this interviewer absolutely get destroyed in relation to the fact that she is trying to get Sweeney to basically show some sort of remorse for the what was it? The Levi's commercial, the jeans commercial, blah 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 blah. And to watch Sweeney like basically own everything in relation to I am not going to apologize for this is so bittersweet. I dip my hat so much to not the fact that she's just an absolutely amazingly beautiful woman, but that she's not going to take any more of this shit. And it's proof that frankly we are done. I know this is a broken record, and I'm sure there's millions more people out there that feel the same way. We are so done pretending that if this is what offends you today, go touch grass. Seriously, go touch grass because there are so many more important things right now that we need to be dealing with than the fact that if you're going to get upset over a jeans commercial, jeans, it's the stuff that you wear, hopefully on yourself and not be weird. But, again, more Trump stuff because frankly, I love the guy. I think he's absolutely amazing. Somebody's opinion. Toys. YOLO Park is another good brand. Not as good as 30, but they're pretty decent. Ben Johnson is another one I love. I absolutely love that man. And of course, Nerdrotic. If you are not following the channel, I've been eternally grateful. I've got to meet him twice now. I just bought his book. I'm super looking forward to reading it. But his content is amazing. Go check him out. I wish I was at his level from the social media standpoint, and I hope to maybe one day grow it to this with this channel here. I know we've got Richard. I'm hoping to get Alberto here on the channel so we can do some live conversations. I would love to one day be at that level where we can just chat and have a whole bunch of people following and just huge support behind the fact that we are so done with these major studios destroying our favorite franchises. And that's really what it comes down to. They are destroying our favorite characters, our favorite stories, and enough is enough. And believe it or not, for the first time in history, we're making that difference. We really are. I know there's only about 3 or 4 of you that watch this, but you know what? If I can change 1 or 2 people's minds, that's a win, if you ask me. So let's go ahead and let's finish up this episode because I know it's getting a little lengthier than I'd like, but let's go back to this World War II veteran, this British guy. And he's 100, I guess I said he was 102. He looks like he's 100 years old. So it was making the rounds on social media recently. This 100-year-old vet basically was on one of the talk shows in the UK, and the host essentially asked, I think it was Remembrance Day. Yeah, it was Remembrance Day. It's kind of like a Veterans Day, which actually is Monday, just FYI. So they asked him, how is he doing? What is he thinking? The world, blah, 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 blah. And he was very honest. This gentleman was truly just, hey, you know what? I don't recognize my country anymore. We fought for freedom. We fought for the rights for people to live freely and civilly and everything in between. And I'm not saying the world is perfect, nor is history perfect. But he says the way the world is right now, specifically the UK, he says it wasn't worth it. It absolutely was not worth it. And it breaks your heart watching this video, which I'll play for you guys in just a second, because this man, along with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people around the world that are probably dead by now, this man has probably seen some of the most fucked up shit that you have ever seen in your life. I did a review years ago and I recommend you go watch it. It's not the review, but well, you should watch the review, but also the movie that I did. All Quiet on the Western Front. It's a movie on Netflix, and it is hands down probably the greatest portrayal of war that I have ever seen in my entire life. The entire movie tells the story of a group of Germans on the German side of things, and it tells the story of World War One, the battle in the trenches, and blah 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 blah. It is one of the most graphic films I've ever seen in my life, but it's also based off of a real story. I think it was based off of a real book, if I'm not mistaken. And it just shows you the real horrors of war. It shows you what fascism really is, what a dictatorship really is, what communism really is, what racism really is. I also did another review, Masters of the Air, which was also an Apple TV show. There's a scene in that show, I think it was like the last episode in that series, where they show one of these downed pilots, so he got shot down, and he's walking through a concentration camp where there are just so not only is there just feet of snow everywhere, but there are bodies, Jewish bodies that are barely in a t-shirt, no shoes. They're just everywhere. There are bodies laced across this land. And I think about this stuff a lot. World War II, World War One, if there was a time I could ever go back to and live, that would be the time. And you might be thinking to yourself, that's some fucked up shit. And I would tell you no, because that time period to me was something special. It was where people, they had a purpose, they had integrity, they had a will, and they had a drive to basically save the world. It was a time, especially during World War II, the Hitler stuff, blah 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 blah. They were literally fighting for freedom that you and I experience today. If the Americans, the Brits, everybody else on the Allied side did not win that war, I can't even imagine what today's world would be like. And the sad truth of it is, I can't take credit for this. It's something I've been thinking a lot about lately, just in relation to the way the world is kind of evolving, I have to be very careful with my words here. Just want to be cautious, as you can probably imagine where I'm going with this. The only way you're going to destroy America is from within. The only way you're going to destroy this country is if you import millions of illegals to basically get those individuals into our political system, thus changing the culture of America. We are watching it every single day happen right here and right now. And it should scare you to death. It really, really should, because quite frankly, you should be asking yourself, why is it, number one, we're allowing so many millions of illegals into this country? But why is it that we're also allowing these illegals who left their shithole countries to come for a better life basically bring their shithole policies to this country? Think about it. Realistically, I don't know how else to dumb it down. They're coming from shithole countries, coming into, according to them, by the way, I'm not speaking on just my own self opinion. I'm speaking towards like these people were persecuted, cartel, drugs, sex trafficking. So they're coming from shitty countries to America, and they're bringing their shitty policies in relation to wanting the same type of culture where you have women that don't have rights, where you have grown ass men that marry 9-year-old children. That's the type of stuff they're bringing to this country. That is something I don't ever want or ever want to see. Yet it is literally taking place every single day. And you gotta ask yourself, and I'll go back to the video with this veteran, when is enough gonna be enough? For you to finally see the world for what's really taking place, and for you to go, nope, not happening. Seriously, that's the question you got to ask, and I'd love to know. Throw it in the comments, whatever you want to talk, blah, blah, blah. When is enough going to be enough for you to say, no, that's not okay? That's not the America that I know. Think about it. It's really not a hard question. To me, it's already started in New York. To me, that's all it takes. That's really all it takes. But check out this video, and I will end this beautiful live session that we've done here, and hopefully I will continue to be doing maybe even more throughout the week. But let's play this video here for you. Hold on one second. I hope the sound comes through because that's what matters. Let me hold on one second, guys. So let's play it for you. And credit to the Mario Fratto show, because this was the only one I could actually find that was pretty decent. So here we go.
Mean for you? What is your message?
My message is, I can see in my mind's eye those rows and rows of white stones of all the hundreds of my friends and everybody else that gave their lives for what? The country of today. No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
What do you mean by that, though, at this point?
What we fought for, and what we fought for was our freedom. We find that even now it's darn sight worse than what it was when I fought for it.
Oh, Alec, I'm sorry you feel like that, because I want you to know that all the generations that have come since, including me and my children, are so grateful for your bravery and all that for service personnel. And
so yeah, right out of the gate, let's be very, very honest. What that lady just said there, oh, my kids and my generation, blah, 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 blah. That's total bullshit. Let's be very, very clear about that. That's absolute bullshit. Because I'm not saying her specifically, that host, but I am specifically talking to the English people right now, to the British people. If you gave a shit about what this man is saying, you would not have let it get to the point that it is right now. More people in the UK are being jailed from Twitter posts than there are actual gang rapes and knifings and murders, etc. They are literally jailing people from a post on social media versus people that are actually murdering, stabbing, and raping people. So, bullshit to that lady. Mad respect to that guy, to that gentleman, to that World War II vet. Because again, if that video does not spark anger, frustration, sadness, heartbreak in you, again, you need to look in the mirror and reevaluate, because now these people, we don't even have very many left. These World War II vets that sacrificed so much to give you and I what we have today. When they're, think about this, and we'll finish it up, I promise. I keep saying that. It's a broken record. It's Spot Nerd. It's what we do. When these guys and gals who are now 100 plus years old that fought in these wars to save the freedom that we experience today, when they are now starting to experience and realize the sheer change that is occurring in the world today, and it is for the negative, not for the positive, you know you fucked up. And I'm talking to the countries, plural, that are experiencing this, whether it's Germany, whether it's Sweden, whether it's not Poland. Poland seemed to have figured that shit out because they don't allow illegal immigration in there. But when these people, these 100-plus-year-old people, are starting to see just how bad it is, you have fucked up, and you have fucked up royally. And it's heartbreaking, and it's sad and pathetic. But at the end of the day, I've said this 1,000 times, it's not surprising. It really, really isn't surprising when we literally have to go to the Supreme Court to basically say that your ID has to show one or the other, an M or an F. And we'll just leave it there. I know it's not exactly the most positive, but hopefully, if anything, just getting this word out maybe makes you think about it. Maybe makes you look into some of these things that we're talking about. And if you don't give a shit about the politics, that's cool. You have the right to, but I would encourage you to look into it, because if anything, maybe you can start speaking out too. I can't do this myself. All these other influential people that are far more big than I am. I mean, this is nothing. I have like 2 or 3 people that watch this shit, which I appreciate, by the way. The more people that stand up to this shit, the more we can go back to the ways of true freedom and really what that is all about. Because right now we are chipping away at that freedom little by little every single day. And I pray to God himself that we finally catch it before it gets too late. I really, really do. But with all that said, thank you guys so much. If you got this far, I really appreciate you watching. Again, I would love you so much. Do the usual stuff at the bottom, the follow, subscribe, likes, comments. And even if you don't like this stuff, tell me. Maybe we can just have a respectful conversation. Albeit, let's be honest, it's a very interesting world out there today, but hey, I'm up for it. If you're down, join the conversation too. I'd love to have more people on this. If you want to join in, you got a camera, you got a microphone, let's do some collaborations, because I think it'd be a good time. And yeah, anyway, check out the channel for more stuff. Stay tuned this week. We've got a lot of good reviews coming out, and we will see you guys next time. Laters, y'all.